So I'm just going to dive right in. I did a video a couple of days ago. Let's see, Mercury, Venus, Mars. It was the 3rd, and I posted it on my regular personal channel. And if I can figure out how to put a link to that video in the comments, I will. But my personal channel, if you want to go check it, I don't really think you need to, because I'm going to go through all of the basic information right here and now. I'm wearing the color of warmth because it's like really, really cold here today. Lots of snow, very beautiful, good day to stay inside. So, getting right down to it to make this a rich experience for you, you have to track back to January 1st. And if you haven't done this process already, I'm sorry, you're a little compromised with time and memory, because I know time is weird. But anyway, here's your first assignment. Yes, I'm doing lip stuff at the beginning of the video. If you can go back and take some notes on what those days were like for you, the most important kind of notes to take was the feeling of the day and what we're looking. Oh, shit. That was weird. I didn't know I could do that. I'm sorry. The feeling of the day. Because each day represents a planetary energy, and your relationship to that, I think, is the key in predicting your year this year. So, according to the cards, we know we have Mercury, mind, Venus, relationships, home. Here comes Max, my dog. Okay, come on. I'll go through them later. But we have 7 energy relationships that pretty much encompass all of the different aspects of our lives. And it is specific things that come out of those energies that, like we ask about relationship and career. Well, relationship is influenced by Moon, which is your kind of emotional setup. It's ruled by Venus, which is relationships, friendships, and love. Mars is career. So anyway, I'm just going to dive in. Go and do that first if you can, because this information might kind of sway how you interpret the day. I sort of have that disadvantage because I wake up and I go, oh, it's a Uranus day. And I may be kind of creating a Uranus day rather than just letting it unfold. You want to jump up? Come on. Okay. So, okay, you've taken all those notes and you've recollected to the best of your ability January 1st through 6th. Today is the 6th. The kind of day you had on January 1st is how you will be relating to how you look at the big picture of your life. And the kinds of insights and things that came to you on January 1st will give you a pretty good predictor as to, I think. Okay, this is all my theory based on the principles that I know for sure work. I haven't tried it with January because, it's like, oh, it's just the calendar. Who cares? It's another day. But no, there's a collective consciousness around the Gregorian calendar. And if nothing else, things come from that. So January 1st, Mercury represents how you're thinking, insights. The King of Spades is January 1st, and this is a correlation thing that I'm doing, is the card of the day really does have an influence on our lives. Every card is an archetype of it's an archetype that lives in the kingdom of you. So there are 52 archetypes plus the Joker. So the King of Spades is the big picture card. So it makes perfect sense that it would go with Mercury and would tell us how we're going to be thinking about the rest of the year and what insights we're going to be working on. Tuesday the 2nd, it is the Queen of Spades. And according to my theory, we're working on Venus issues. So Venus will tell you how you are going to be relating to everything. I mean, you talk to a Libra and they like balance in their physical environment because they're sensitive to the relationships of things. So Venus really is about your relationship to everything from yourself to the emotional realm, to your dog, to your partner, to your friends, to da 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 da. And keep in mind that we're in Venus retrograde until, I don't know, maybe the third week of January, but it's been really, really freaking intense. It's been like a rake going through our consciousness, asking us to look at our relationship styles. And I'm going to go hop over to my other channel and talk a little bit about what I've been learning for the past couple months and why I've disappeared. Has everything to do with that Venus retrograde. So Venus the second, okay, so the Queen of Spades being January 2nd really comes into play here, I think, because while the king represents the big overview of your kingdom, the queen represents taking responsibility for your consciousness and how it has created your life. So January 2nd was an opportunity to really look at, okay, what kind of relationship issues? Okay, so here's my little journal. I confess I'm going back and looking. Okay, it was all about relationship. I ended up spending the entire day with my partner and God, talked to one of my best friends, had a really good cry because I received her love. Um, my partner gave me a huge insight. And then Eckhart Tolle. There was a lot of sanity discovery going on, and I wrote down a phrase he said that day. Earth wasn't designed to make you happy. It was designed to challenge you. Okay, so uh, moving on to the third, Mars. This was my favorite day so far. No, Saturn. Saturn comes in with a close first or second. And I typically think that Mars and Saturn are my weak planets because Mars is about, it's very task oriented and logical, and Saturn is about do the thing that's uncomfortable. Oh, I hate being uncomfortable. But if you can tackle whatever it is that's uncomfortable, it's like this superpower. So, anyway, Mars, January 3rd. So that's the day that I began to do this accounting. And oh my God, so without going too much into my own detail here, I found myself super, super, super focused on Kismet, my channel, my website. I was really motivated. And so the third will tell you maybe what your relationship to the motivational energy of Mars is. Mars is what I call your motivator. You know, like in Star Wars, he's looking at all the droids and then the one starts towards him and then craps out and he goes, "That's got a bad motivator." It's the thing that moves you forward. So, what will be your relationship about moving forward? And, the word career just means way. So we've taken it to mean what we do for a living. But really, it's the motivation, it's the passion. It's like, what are you really excited about? Okay, a couple other things Mars is about to take note of on the third. What was your relationship to your body in general, your health, your sense of adventure and doing things, projects and tasks, conflict, argument, and that kind of thing. Aggression and anger, those are also Mars, and those are very, very important. Don't judge them, please, because it's about breaking through to something new and something different. And sometimes we go overboard, and sometimes the anger is destructive, but it's very purposeful and it can get us unstuck from something. And career, of course. Moving on to the fourth. So the fourth, okay, this was a little trickier for me, and this was a good opportunity to point something out. Okay, so if you have, or are, or know, King of Spades, Queen of Spades, Jack of Spades, Ten of Spades, all the way down to, well, conceivably the Ace of Spades, which is the ace of, or the 13th, which is the Ace of Spades. But we're just going to the 7th for this experiment. The Seven of Spades. That day will have a particular effect on that aspect in your hand. If that's a card in your hand, if that's a card of someone you know, they're going to be in your face. For us, it was our composite relationship card. It is the Ten of Spades. So that was a very tricky day in a sense because we really, really forced to work on the dynamics of our relationship. So the Jupiter day, we spent together all day too. So that was tricky. But the Ten of Spades and Jupiter, perfect combination. And with so many of these cards, they're So there isn't a thing in the card system that says January 1st represents Mercury. Okay, this is my theory that I'm overlaying the first 7 days of the year. Sorry, I didn't make that clear at the beginning. This part of it is my theory. The fact that the 4th of January is the Ten of Spades is established. What if it also relates to Jupiter? Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, 4th. The Ten of Spades is a card of um, okay, what's a good word to express this card? It's like horsepower, all the horses. It can be overwhelmed. People can get overwhelmed because the Ten of Spades is like being fully engaged. And so there's a success aspect to it. If you're fully engaged and you surf through all that massive amount of activity and you keep things in balance, then you'll experience success like nobody's business. And if you don't, you're going to fall into despair because there's all this excess energy built up to go somewhere, to do something, to accomplish all these things. And if you get derailed, it can also be a despair experience. But whatever it is, it's a lot of things. It's very busy. It can be overwhelming. And it's ruled by Jupiter. This is my theory. Jupiter is, it makes everything bigger. So the question you have to ask yourself about the 4th is, what's your relationship to Jupiter, to making things bigger? What will appear larger than life? What will give you a sense of inspiration? Okay, so making it bigger. I try to speak very purposely in ways that you can take the good or bad from it yourself, because I really, really don't like that good bad thing. Things just are what they are. And even bad things are good things, right? So you can see that maybe you're going to exaggerate something, or it will appear really big because it needs your attention, or it's going to be really big like Jupiter because it's going to have a big force of gravity, and it's going to draw a lot of things to it. Maybe it's going to be big for you this year. Um, let's see. Oh, I woke up with the Boston song, Don't Look Back. Perfect song for that day. Um, Archangel Michael talked to me about my divine purpose that day, which was so beautiful because it just kind of frees you of all the dysfunction and whatever. It's like, well, God has a purpose for you. You have a purpose for you. And realigning with that purpose is just so helpful. So, connection with a guru, for me, it was just directly to divine, because Jupiter represents guru. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So one more thing about Jupiter, it can the 4th can give you clues as to what kinds of blessings you will receive, but also how you will be a blessing to others. Moving on, Saturn, the 5th. This was probably my favorite day so far because Saturn scares me. Saturn is about, it moves slow, it's hard, it takes a really long time to get there, but a single win is a big deal. So for me, my little win on the 9th was, sorry, I have to do this. I parted my hair on the other side today and it's freaking me out, but they say that that can potentially change your life if you do that. So of course on a Uranus day, I do something weird like that. Today's Uranus, going back to yesterday, the 5th. My big win is that, okay, so I'm dealing with like my own codependence is really in my face. And one of the aspects of codependency is the inability to ask for what you need, the fear of disapproval and all that. And so I was taking a shower at the club where I was working out, and I chose a stall with no shower curtain because it had a really good shower head. And then suddenly I realized that the shower curtain was pulled over on this single bar, and it was in front of this other woman's shower next to me. So I break out into the sweats and I'm like, okay, now I have to ask a stranger for something. So I rolled around in my own fear and codependence for about 30 seconds, and then I just purposely didn't say excuse me or I'm sorry. I just said, I think that my shower curtain is in front of you. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she starts caretaking me. I'm so sorry. Like it's her fault, you know? And I'm like, no, no, it's okay. I was like, I just got lost in codependence for about 30 seconds. And then I finally asked for it. And she goes, you're so brave. And to me, that was like the ultimate reward because she was this loving, soft, tender mother energy. But then she saw clearly what my challenge had been, just to ask. for something. So that's Saturn because you recognize what the challenge is. This is healthy Saturn. You realize what it is that you have to change inside yourself, what you're doing too much of or not enough of, the weakness, what muscle needs to be exercised. And the achievement of Saturn is, I think I'm starting to get this. And I think I'm starting to feel this muscle build. I'm seeing evidence that I'm growing. That's the satisfaction of Saturn. It can also tell you what your relationship is to father energies, to authority figures, uh, purpose, life purpose. What is your relationship to time? What are some other, I should go back through this myself, because I purposely took notes on my day, trying not to think too much. But this is so cool because I did a Hatha yoga class, which is strength. So I looked up the word Hatha and it literally means force. Some say it also means sun and moon. Ha is sun, tha is moon. Anyway, that was the Nine of Spades. Oh, and this is another really interesting thing. So the Nine of Spades is about death, completion, reward. When you can finally be done with something, it can be a massive relief, or it can be a painful death of something. And it is so often in the death of things that we get are the most significant character development, which is what Saturn is all about. So there's some correlations here between the Nine of Spades specifically and Saturn. If you're the Seven of Hearts, you will experience this really poignantly because the Nine of Spades is your Saturn card. What else? Oh, Nine of Spades is about a bigger perspective. So, like, for example, learning about your nationality and your lineage and traditions and dysfunctions is taking in a larger perspective to understand your situation. Like the biggest perspective I can take in is what's after death. No coincidence, it's the death card. Like near-death experience, what's beyond the veil, what the kind of defines this reality, what's the point of everything, da da da. So that's another thing that you can look at with the 5th. Okay, so we have today and tomorrow. So maybe I'll make another video tomorrow or after that, or maybe not at all. But today I can tell you, I haven't taken any notes yet on my Uranus day. But Uranus is marked by the unconventional, the unexpected. Don't be surprised if you get kind of coyote energy today. A curveball gets thrown at you. Like when I woke up this morning, I usually do my prayer, meditation, check in with myself. I do all this juju, emotional self-care, and I didn't do any of it. I just got into an autobiography about a crack addict. It was great. It's a little weird, but knowing that it's a Uranus day in my experiment, I kind of gave myself permission to go with it, but I would have done that anyway. And then I also misinterpreted where my husband was at all morning. I thought he was mad at me and he wasn't. And so I was like, okay, I get to detach from how I think he's feeling about me. And I did a good job. That's another thing about Uranus, is to drop your attachments to something, especially if it's unhealthy. So just looking a little bit at why do I care? So why does it affect me so much when I think someone is upset with me? Why is that so hard? It's definitely a codependence thing. So I got to kind of work through that and just be like, whatever, just going to keep going with my day. And I ended up just having a really great day and everything. And then my husband comes out of the cave, and guess what? He wasn't mad at me. And then I had this backwash of all this, like, dang it, I was really looking forward to like being resentful of you. So that was one of these unpredictable coyote things, it's just like it flipped. So got to work through that a little bit. And what else? Uranus also rules real estate. So whatever your living situation is, whatever happens in that regard today might be telling. And you can also say possibly that if nothing happens around that, that won't be a big deal this year. If today's a big easy day, you're not going to have a lot of Uranus type experiences this year, or maybe a relationship too, is just going to be really easy. But if through the course of this week you have had a day that from hell, or just like something really difficult, you can look at that and go, okay, there's a possibility that this energy is going to be challenging for me. And let's just say it's Mars. What I would encourage you to do to get more information about you personally and why this is hard for you is, if you're a Destiny card student, I'm not going to reach over and grab my Destiny cards book, but I would say open up to your birthday, whenever that was last year or this year, and look at your Mars cards specifically for this year, if that was tough for you, or if you're really curious about something. Look at the cards for yourself this year. Tomorrow, the 7th, is ruled by Neptune, and I'll just, since I have no idea what tomorrow is going to feel like or be like, I'm going to just encapsulate it by saying, pay attention to your visions, your dreams, your hopes, your goals, your ideals, things that kind of get the someday category. There's no urgency around them. There isn't even evidence that it's in your field yet. It's just something that, wow, you know what? What if I owned a little cafe? That kind of thing. Also, you may get dreams and visions of like the beatific picture of something, a divine vision of what something could be. Now, when you're in the beginning stages of a relationship, we can call it gets labeled all kinds of really mean things, which become valid later on when you're really doing the shit work of your relationships. Like, oh yeah, I totally projected whatever and whatever. But I am a great advocate for taking that beginning energy relationship and putting it. Yes, it is Neptune. It is dreamy. But what if that dream is coming out of a place inside you that knows exactly what you need and want and what would be just perfect? And what if that's the potential that you are about creating in your life? So pay attention tomorrow to those kinds of dreams, ideas, perfection. Also pay attention to, okay, the dark side of Neptune is addictions. Um, Yeah, and that can be an unhealthy attachment to anything you think you need, but you really don't. And it's actually has a pejorative effect in your life. Not healthy. Also, pay attention to your projections and how you're projecting stuff onto people. Oh, sorry, honey. And if that's a really big deal for you tomorrow, I just happen to have this little booklet right next to me. The Work by Byron Katie. Um, this is the bomb. If you want to make use of projections, if you have really strong negative judgments about somebody in your life, and that's a real trigger, you've definitely got projection going on, which means it's really about you. It doesn't cancel out the fact that they're dysfunctional, but you're upset about it is about you. Okay. So that wraps up the week and how you can look at how maybe it's a predictor for you this year. Thank you for watching. I'm going to hop on over to my other channel. Love you. Have a great year.